Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you are brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And today we are building another bungalow and we are in the world of Windenburg. I almost said Brindleton Bay because I've been there so much the past couple of weeks, but we are actually on I think this is technically the Crumbling Isle is what it's called. I can't really remember, and I've built on this lot only I think once before, and I thought it was the perfect lot for this kind of build because I am making a rustic looking bungalow where it almost looks as though it could have been something that someone constructed on their own. That might be a stretch, I really don't know, but I tried to use like some stone textures and some wood panelings and just more like rustic looking items to really have this build have a look of being a little bit off the grid. And I should probably say too, like, it's not an off the grid lot. I'm kind of like having all of these ideas now that I'm watching the footage back and I'm like, wow, could have been cool as off the grid. Could have been cool to do it maybe in another world. I don't really know. Actually, I tried to build this initially in Granite Falls, but since you can only set them as rental lots there, I just didn't really want to have to explain that. And on top of that, not only is it the residential lot or the rental residential lot, but the lighting on a lot of the lots in Granite Falls was just not up to par for me, I have to admit. So the lighting on this lot was perfect, and I thought it was kind of the perfect backdrop and environment to do a build like this. So I hope you guys do enjoy it. And as you can see, the outside is pretty much coming together at this point. I did use a select few objects from like debug and whatnot to try to get a certain look. So I used these little, they almost look like little column brackets. That's probably not even right, but they look like little stone textures that you could put at the bottom of columns. And I thought that that tied nicely together with the stone textures that I used on the other part of the home. And I also used these little kind of, they're not the spindrils, but they're the little kind of details and accents you can put on roofs. They almost look like little footings, and I use those to add a little bit more of a detail to the spindrils because I did end up using, I think it was the season spindrils, but I wanted them to be a lot bigger. I wanted it to be very obvious that there was this kind of like woodworking detail on those, so I did use those just to kind of make it a little bit more accentuated. And this is pretty much the shape of the house. It's a very simple shape, it's nothing extravagant, and I didn't go too crazy with the landscaping, even though I did really want to. But I just used a couple of different plants from Debug, and I added some, I think, yellow hydrangeas because the yellow color kind of sort of matched the wood tones I felt in this build. And these wood tones are not just on the exterior, by the way. They are on the interior throughout the entire thing. I couldn't get away from them. I couldn't stop using them. So I hope that the interior is as appealing as the exterior is. And hopefully the exterior is appealing. You know, I just hope you like the whole thing. But I really did enjoy this home, and it is just for a single sim, which might be kind of surprising considering that the home looks at least big enough for like 2 sims or maybe even a small family, but I only made it for 1 sim, and that was intentional because once I kind of got inside, I had a certain plan for the floor plan, and I realized that the upstairs was actually really small. There really isn't a second floor. I wouldn't even consider it a second floor. I would more so consider it like an attic space, but it's kind of a really nice attic space because that's where the bedroom is as well as a full bathroom. But yeah, it was just way too small in my opinion to try to make it into 2 bedrooms. And I mean, I could barely get a double bed in the bedroom, and I was able to get one in there, which you guys will see. However, it's right up against a wall, and unless you can get your sims to do the whole scoot thing to their assigned side of the bed, it is going to be for a single sim because I haven't been able to get that scooting feature to work. I don't even know if they took it out. Like, I have no clue, but I know that that was a thing at one point, and now it just like never works for me. So that is why it's for a single sim. So if you have a single sim who is looking for a new rustic home, this might work for you. I don't know, but I am trying to wrap up the landscaping at this point. I wanted to try to get most of it out of the way actually before I went on to the interior, which I kind of like go back and forth with doing. Sometimes I'll wait to do the backyard until the very end of the build, which I did for the most part. I think I wanted to flesh out a little bit more of a stone path with the stones from the debug menu and get the landscaping laid down. That way I would have a good visual of how much room I really had for activities that I could put outside. But we are moving on to the interior, and we're trying to sort out the floor plan, which, like I said, I had one in mind. However, I did kind of struggle a bit as to where to put the staircase because the upstairs was so small and it seemed as though the staircase would not be able to fit against a wall, at least with how I had originally laid out the floor plan. So I did make some adjustments just to make sure that it worked, because I wanted to make sure the staircase was against a wall upstairs so it didn't take up a lot of unnecessary space. And I also used these curtains from Eco Lifestyle because I really liked kind of the pale green, pale teal color very, very much. And I loved it with the paneling from Cats and Dogs. If you guys are wondering, that is where it's from. And then I also went upstairs and kind of solidified the quote unquote floor plan as well. There wasn't too much to do up there, but the first room that I do work on is the kitchen, and it seems really small when I look at it, but it's honestly the same size as a lot of my kitchens. I feel it might be a little bit on the smaller side. I can't really tell, but I did kind of struggle with what I wanted the interior to look like in a lot of ways, because I chose to use these wood tones that are kind of pale, and I used them throughout the entire build, exterior and interior, to the point that I was like, well, all the furniture has to match too. Like, I can't stray from it now. So I ended up using these Jungle Adventure counters and cabinets, which were a little less rustic than what I was initially going for. As you saw, I kind of pulled out the industrial looking ones because I use those quite often for either like farms or like grandparents' homes or more rustic homes, stuff like that. But the kitchen ended up looking, I think, really cute, and I did use that console table in the middle to make a faux island, and I just put a few items there as well. And I didn't go too crazy with the clutter like I usually do. I go crazy, but I ended up using this basket here, and I just filled it with like a bunch of apples, which I thought was kind of a nice touch. I haven't made my own fruit basket in what it feels like forever at this point. I am just lazy, and I end up grabbing them out of the Build and Buy catalog. But in this one, I decided to just make my own, and there are plenty of appliances here as well. So this is basically a nice full kitchen in my opinion. I mean, they've got the coffee maker, which I've kind of left out of a lot of builds recently, either the coffee maker or like the tea magic brew or whatever it's called. I think I use the tea brewer in my Japanese family home, and other than that, I haven't used an appliance like that in what feels like a long time, so that was kind of nice. And then I ended up working on this little entryway, which actually serves as the dining room as well. And granted, since there's only one sim here, I didn't have to have a dining table for 4 sims, but I thought it was kind of nice because I was envisioning that this sim did often have like friends over or family, and they would go ahead and like hang out in the dining room or in the living room, which is like this big open space on the other side of the archway. And there are a lot of windows letting in so much natural sunlight, which is really something I love about this lot. So if I didn't emphasize that in the beginning, the sunlight on this lot is really, really nice, and it spills into rooms in such a beautiful way, and that's mainly why I built on this lot. But there is a little bench here in the entryway, as well as just a little side table with a mirror above it. I have been struggling with this lately, and you guys have probably noticed, and if not, now I'm pointing it out, so yay me. But I have been struggling a lot lately with filling empty spaces in homes. I end up doing the same things over and over again, where it's like side table with a lamp or a side table with a flower, maybe a mirror on this wall, maybe a console table with something. And I don't know, I just feel like I'm filling spaces with the same items, and I don't want my builds to look too similar. So I'm trying to kind of pull back a little bit and maybe leave things that feel uncomfortable that I don't normally place, and just kind of seeing how it goes. But if you guys have noticed that, you're not going to hurt my feelings if you let me know, but yeah, I don't know. I've kind of noticed that as I've been going through and building so often. So I'm trying to diversify just a little tiny bit. But anyway, we are on to the living room, and I was so happy because I was able to use this coffee table from Eco Lifestyle and the chair and the couch from Eco Lifestyle as well. I thought that they were perfect items for this kind of build, and I really liked the pop of kind of like the red fireplace, the brick in that fireplace, because it really contrasts with all of the very kind of pale wood tones that I use. So I just really, really liked it. I thought it was a really cozy living room, and I would love this to be my living room. Personally, I think it would be so comfortable and so relaxing to kind of hang out in, and I kind of wish I had it the more I look at it, but I end up putting a bookcase over here in the corner, and I thought that the industrial looking one actually worked here. I also put a console table right in front of this big open window because I didn't want any like actual furniture blocking all of the sunlight coming in, but I thought it was a really nice place to display like a team photo or like a family photo or something like that. And then the little kind of bump off from this living room through those French doors is actually a small mudroom. I made it a separate thing compared to how I might usually do that, as there might be like an entryway of some kind with an archway that just leads into the rest of the home, where I put some of the items from seasons, like the coats hanging on that like wall item or something like that. But I ended up making that a mudroom, and it's something I work on last. But right here is actually the little half bathroom. I initially wanted it to be a full bathroom just because I wasn't sure if I'd be able to fit a full bathroom upstairs or not. So I wanted this to be a full bathroom, but it was honestly going to be way too cramped. It looked so silly to me. So I ended up just putting another wall mirror and then moving on to the little mudroom space, which does have this storage like surface from Seasons where you can kind of like drop off your shoes and your coats and stuff before you enter the home, hence the tile and like this little, I don't know, that's like a doormat, right? That's what I'm trying to think of. It's like a rubber doormat. And then I also ensured that I placed a few things on the porches before I moved upstairs. So there is the flower arranging station. There are some wind chimes to really add to the ambiance of this lot, and a couple of rocking chairs too, because I don't know if I was envisioning if this sim was older or not. I was actually envisioning a much younger sim, like maybe right out of college, someone who was wildly successful in some way, shape, or form right out of college in their chosen career, and then they just had this house built and this is where they plan on staying for the rest of their lives. Like, that's kind of what I was envisioning. And they also have a few outdoor activities like the bee box and a couple of gardening plots and whatnot. And I also put the little detail of the stacks of wood in those little wood sheds because I was envisioning that they frequently use that fireplace. I think they also ride their bike everywhere since they are on an island. Maybe they just ride the bike over the bridge to take them to the mainland of Windenburg. I don't know. And then I move upstairs to the bedroom. And like I said, it is very small. It is not ideal, which I completely understand, but I liked it for the purpose of this build. And there is this bed that is actually unlocked from the painting career, I believe. And I love it because it looks like a Van Gogh painting. And I thought it was perfect for this kind of build and for this sim. They also have a TV on top of their dresser and a couple of just random decorations on the walls as well. Nothing too crazy because I really didn't want it to look too claustrophobic. Like, it was claustrophobic enough that I didn't want to clutter it up to make it look even more claustrophobic. But I don't know, I kind of liked this bedroom, and personally I wouldn't mind having it. Like, if that was my bedroom, I wouldn't mind at all. But this is pretty much the end of the build, so I hope you guys did enjoy this, and I will catch you next time I post a video, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.
So you kissed a girl just 'cause you wanted to. Not thinking about what you made it do. She started doing her hair and makeup, oh, just for you. Only because you kissed a girl when you wanted to. You think you're